Her name means white flower, only 2 months old. They think it was heat stroke that killed her. We tried to resuscitate, but it was too late. There's no sanitation or health care here. A nurse comes occasionally from the next village. Another needless death in Myanmar's Delta region. But there's little time to mourn for the people who live here. The monsoon season's just a couple of weeks away, and the villagers tell me that their food stocks are well below the seasonal average, and their shelters still aren't adequate to withstand the winds and the rains that are going to come. They paint a grim outlook.
Although we try our best, there are not as many fish to catch as before Nargis. The government gave us 14 new boats, but they are too small. We need more equipment.
Emergency aid comes from charities like MSF, but they don't know when they'll ever be able to have proper livelihoods again. This is an extraordinary glimpse of the Irrawaddy Delta region. It's the very first time an international broadcaster has been allowed in the area. Access by outsiders is strictly controlled, but there's no hiding the scale and depth of the tragedy that has fallen on this once highly fertile and productive area. We've travelled across the entire region and seen for ourselves over and over again how the strong community spirit of Myanmar people has been the crucial factor in the recovery so far. Most people have some form of shelter and enough food to survive through their own efforts and a little help from the government and international donors. What's become depressingly clear is that though villagers don't need much to get back on their feet, they're not even getting that.
It's not a great result in terms of other disasters that we could compare with if we looked at the Pakistan earthquake or Sri Lanka or Indonesia with the tsunami. 1 year on, we would expect to be much further down the road, and that's largely to do with the amount of donor funding which is available for permanent shelter.
The Myanmar government sent us here to show how international cooperation is working to benefit the more than 1 million people seriously affected by the storm Nargis. But they didn't prevent us going anywhere else. And it's evident places like this are the rare exception, not the rule.
Normally, we face yearly we face some of the disaster. We can solve ourselves. So that just after the Cyclone Nargis, we solved ourselves.
You thought that you could handle it yourself?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Yeah, no. I sincerely say I cannot control that's rescue and relief activity.
The Myanmar government admits it needs to give more help and wants more international assistance. It's a dramatic change from a year ago, when it was heavily criticised for refusing Western aid for 3 full weeks. But the US and EU are strong critics of the government's human rights record, and they say their sanctions prevent them contributing to what they construe as development in Myanmar. Humanitarian workers say that means that hundreds of thousands of people still living in structures like this face possible homelessness when the rains come in the next few weeks. This was one of the worst-hit villages. Of its population of 800, only 100 survived, and their stories are extraordinary. This 6-year-old survived Nargis by grabbing onto a corpse that floated by. He's the only survivor of a family of 9. He says he misses his mother the most. His cousin was swept more than 4 hours boat ride away. Now the boy's aunt looks after them, but she's terribly worried about the coming monsoon. They can't even sleep nights under their tarpaulin. I asked her what she would say if she could speak to the rich and powerful in Myanmar and around the world.
Some people have proper houses, but we don't. So we would like to say to these people and Yangon leaders, if they would like to help, please help us, because we need help.
She's so terrified of another cyclone, she sent her 7-month-old baby away to her parents in another village. But it doesn't take a cyclone to claim lives in the Irrawaddy Delta. Within an hour of drawing her last breath, a little baby is buried by her father in her swaddling cloth. Forgotten, like the community she leaves behind.
This village may be relatively inaccessible, but it's not beyond reach. At the moment, it's being neglected by both the government and the international community, condemning more people to lives of mere survival. Much, much more could be done. Veronica Pedrosa, Al Jazeera, Laputa Township, Myanmar.